All right. I'd like to call to order the Town of Mccandless Town Council meeting for September 13th, 2021. Councilmember Clunin will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
You could please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not really any seminar or conference announcements for tonight. Community Day was Saturday, and I'm going to let Councilwoman Clunin just give a little update on how that went, because I know you're not giving a report tonight.
Sure. Thank you. It was a great day, thanks to many volunteers, the members of our public works crew, and the members of our services and volunteer firefighters all pitched in. I am happy to say that the weather cooperated, and we held our first ever 5K, which we got some very good feedback on, which was followed by our car cruise, which was very well attended and a lot of participants. And then we had activities at the Heritage Center. And then the evening was just capped off with a really nice gathering of friends and neighbors here at Devlin Park for the fireworks. And I hope everybody had a great day.
Thank you. The EAC is going to be doing their roadside cleanup on October 16th. Please mark your calendars for that. Moving on to minutes for August 23rd, 2021. Were there any edits or additions to the council's minutes?
Madam President?
Yes. I've just lost my eye. Yes, Angela, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Is that you, Angela? That was you, I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Woods, please go ahead.
In the section under the motion to appoint a member to the Personnel Board, representatives of wards 4 and 6 voted for Matt Lucas. Currently, it says representatives of ward 4 and 5 voted for Matt Lucas.
Thank you very much. That we had caught that earlier. I think the revised minutes did get in the pack, but thank you so much. Was there anything else? All right. The floor is open for a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
So moved.
Okay, Councilmember Sponholz. Okay. All right. Again, any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as submitted for August the 23rd, 2021, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion, the minutes are accepted. 6-0, because Carolyn's not here. All right, this is the portion of the meeting that is open to public comment. It can be on an item that is on the agenda, or it can be an off agenda item also. We usually start with the members in, the citizens in the meeting room. If you are on the Zoom, please put your name and your address in the chat box, and you will be, after the members speak here in the meeting, then we will call on you in the order that you put your name in so that you can speak also. Everyone has 5 minutes for their comments. All right.
Can I just want to ask down to speak? Or?
I think that'd be fine.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Barbara Richards, 305 Manor Court, and I have been a resident for 27 years of Mccandless, and I would like to comment on the Midwest Shooting Center. Thank you. Signs are appearing around the North Hills and in Mccandless Crossing, and in online announcements that the new shooting range is opening in November in the office building at 900 Providence Boulevard, which used to house the Impex shooting range. That facility has been closed, vacant, and unpermitted for 17 months. There was a liquidation sale It closed in April 2020. And as a concerned community, we inquired and understood that what we understood was if the facility was vacant for 1 year, the non-conforming use was assumed abandoned, and therefore the use as a shooting range would no longer be allowed. That's what we heard in emails from Town Manager Bob Grimm and Kim Zachary. In fact, President Zachary's statement came by way of the town attorney. So very simply, we would like to know what is going on. Why is the developer, Kevin Doherty, allowed to do this without management knowing? When the coalition I work with that opposed impacts contacted the town around August 31st, they didn't seem to know anything, but somebody in zoning did, because 3 permits had already been issued. One for renovations on August 13th to the Midwest Shooting Center, and 2 for signs on August 20th. Those permits are part of the list of permits issued by the zoning office and submitted to you in your agenda packet tonight, so you should have already seen them. I assume you are going to review them. I hope that you will take a closer look at these permits. I think the people of Mccandless and the institutions surrounding the shooting range property are entitled to more transparency, accountability, and better scrutiny about planning for our town than the town of Mccandless has given us in the last 4 years. You're mostly a different council and administration, except for President Zachary. Are you again going to turn your backs on the pre-K and elementary school, the Greek Orthodox Church, the Sisters of Divine Providence Mother House, LaRoche University, a multiplex movie theater, most locations of mass shootings? I would hope at the very least that this issue be put on the agenda for the next town council meeting to give everyone the chance to air grievances publicly, like the public hearing the town was never afforded since the idea of an office building that became a shooting range was brought to the Planning Commission in February of 2016. The Coalition for Safe Community Spaces has many documents to share, documents and decisions of town council, committees and town administrators that pertain to the approval process for impacts and the now Midwest Shooting Center. Of course, you could end all this now and follow the code of Mccandless and retract those misapplied permits. Perhaps the zoning hearing board would care to hear arguments also, since they have jurisdiction over variances and non-conforming uses, and I think grievances against officers who fail to follow procedures. As a community, we have other options too. Thank you, and I hope you take this very seriously.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else?
I'm Sister Mary Troutman, 9000 Babcock Boulevard. I'm a Sister of Divine Providence. The Sisters of Divine Providence have been at that location for 96 years. And President Zachary, I would like the sisters who are here with me to see, since you're the council person who represents them, just raise your hands and wave. These are your constituents.
I think I've actually come and visited you a couple of times. So maybe I've met some of you, maybe you weren't able to attend. It's hard to tell with masks, it's hard to recognize people, but very nice to see you.
We have
Thank
this
you.
question. Again, a shooting range. I agree with everything that I heard Barbara Richards say. At Mccandless Crossing, a building permit has been issued and it's not signed. It would strike me that might be an invalid permit. This shouldn't have happened. I wonder how different it would have been if an application for building permit had been submitted by a religious group or service and not a shooting range. Why, with all the possible locations in the vicinity, why Mccandless Crossing? You have Holy Trinity Church and other worship sites, a pre-K through 8 elementary school, a university, healthcare facility. So there are schools, worship sites, movie theaters, some of the favorite places for mass shooters around the country, even in Pittsburgh. With regard to guns, in 2021 in the United States, there have been more than 300 mass shootings. More than 1,800 people have been killed or injured. What do people do with guns on entering or leaving a shooting range? This is supposed to be an office building. It has become a shooting range. So hopefully somebody was doing background checks. Does somebody inspect guns as people enter and leave to make sure they're not loaded? And you know, there is no level of lead that is safe for children. And the standard for a shooting range is that people shower and change their clothes before they leave so that they don't carry any lead residue with them and harm children. Much of the land that is in Mccandless Crossing was acquired by the Sisters of Divine Providence in the 1940s. Lately, around 2000, it was conveyed to LaRoche University. LaRoche sold it to a developer, restoring it to the tax rolls in Mccandless. The lower level of the building where Impacts was located has never been occupied. Always had 4 lease signs on it. Never had a tenant. Of course, they would want to occupy space that was right underneath a shooting range. How much tax revenue has Mccandless lost because of that? A former council member several years ago said to me, "We did it all wrong." President Zachary, you were there. You might remember your colleagues saying, "We did it all wrong." The Coalition for Safe Community Spaces and the Sisters of Divine Providence request a retraction of the building permit. Or, in the absence of that, a public hearing on the matter. Midwest has faced this in other locations. Mccandless citizens, voters, and taxpayers never had the chance to speak at a public hearing on a shooting range. A church in Mccandless was required to have a public hearing when they presented a petition for a building permit to build an activities building on church property. And a shooting range doesn't have to have a public hearing.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments?
Good evening, Rita Martin, Grubbs Road. I want to put my support behind what Sister Troutman said and Barbara. Having followed the timeline of office building to gun range to empty building for a year and a half, certainly the conditional use of this, which was, I think, given to Impacts, should be nullified. And we should have in there something that is not such a horrible thing for the community. It is just inappropriate. It's location, location, location. Gun ranges are fine, but not in the middle of schools and churches and where we go to eat and dine and have fun with our families. Please reconsider this and think about that. I have one more thing I want to say. This has nothing to do with the gun range, but I want to thank Angela Woods. I supported her wholeheartedly when she ran. She's made a great councilwoman. Her decisions were always based on what was good for the community and not partisan politics. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any additional comments? And please come up.
My first comment is, I don't think this working. I don't think this is working at all.
Well, the good news is that you'll still be recorded.
But
And-
we can't hear in the audience.
Oh,
That's the
you
problem.
can't hear.
Right.
Okay. Can the people on Zoom hear? Okay, so the people on Zoom can hear.
And we can hear Zoom really well. 'Cause
Okay.
It's coming off the TVs.
Okay.
But there's
Can
nothing
we-
on these
thank you.
microphones,
Can we-
including yours.
Okay,
We have a tough time hearing.
okay. What can we do about that before we go any further?
I'll just talk loud.
So will I.
My name's Dave Martin. I live at 10585 Grubbs Road. And I have just two things. One, I'm following up on the impact statements that the three people prior to me had talked about. I wholly support them, even though I have no real problems one way or another for shooting ranges. My problem with the shooting range is its location. It doesn't belong there. The second problem I have with it is the fact that we were stuck with having to approve that shooting range because there was nothing in the ordinances that prevented it, which was a lack of something in the ordinance. I guess there should be some sort of statement that says, if it's not in the ordinance, well, then you have to apply for it, and then we'll decide whether it meets the public standards. I don't know, however you guys word stuff like that. Let's see, what was the other thing? Oh, I distinctly remember, even though I could be wrong, that whenever the original ordinances for impact was approved, the codicil was, if impact ever leaves, you can never have another shooting range in Mccandless Township, because the ordinance will be here that says no shooting ranges in Mccandless Township. Well, either we messed up on that one, or as I read in the timeline that was prepared by the Coalition for Safe Community Spaces, there's something in there about it's the property owner that gets to decide. What the heck ever happened there? That was not done in a public meeting, that's for sure. That had to be done, maybe not even behind closed doors in that little chamber back there, but maybe over a beer at the bar. That was decided upon, and it's written up, and all of a sudden, 5 years, 6 years later, we're stuck with it. Something that should be addressed. I think that really needs to be addressed. My last item, it'll be very quick, is the zoning officer here tonight? No?
She's not on Zoom
Bruce
either.
Betty's successor,
Right,
not here.
she's not.
Well, hopefully you can answer my question. If a person is going to put in a pool, a swimming pool on their property, do you have to have a township permit to put in a pool?
Yes.
The answer is yes. Doesn't matter if it's in ground or whether it's above ground. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay, thank you very much. I hope my neighbor doesn't put in a pool without a permit.
Thank you. So do we. Is there anyone else in the audience that has any public comment? All right. Oh, yes. Oh, please come up.
Long time no see. Ellen Wright, Old Coomer Drive, 9635. I haven't checked. Did you approve the Paschal Garden Apartments last month?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so I just wanted to let you know that there was flooding on Blazier Drive this week. Did anybody see it? Blazier Drive floods so often that that their barrels kept there so that they can just be rolled out when it rains a lot. But that wasn't the only place that flooded this time. The outfield behind this building flooded with Ida. The tennis courts behind this building flooded with Ida. The wetland, is it that way? The wetland on Mccandless Drive, it flooded with Ida. And let's see, oh, the creek that goes through the property on that 9-4C where Paschal Garden Apartments are to be built, it left its stream bed. That property was flooded. Now, It didn't get up to the road because there's a wetland there, there's a floodway. The land where there is no garden apartment currently allows the water to soak in so that it didn't crest there. But no, I hadn't realized that those apartments are being built without basements because the water table is so high on that property that there cannot be a basement. So I just want to say, is it being responsible to the public good to permit a garden apartment that is to have a minimum of 50% of adults with special needs so close to a floodway and a flood zone so that they are in danger when it rains, such as Ida in the last week? Now, a couple months ago, Stephen Victor told you that they would be able to leave by way of Mccandless Drive. Well, that water was pretty high up in those wetlands on that township property when Ida was here. So I ask you to be responsible and to care for the public good, including the future apartment dwellers of those people who are to live in partial garden apartments. That property is not safe because of the flooding that occurs there. And I ask you to consider the safety of the future residents of that complex in the floodway, the flood zone, and the increase in the impermeable surface that will cause additional flooding on that property. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any additional comments? Here, do we have any Zoom? Okay, you can open up the mic.
Hello? Hello?
Hello,
Oh, okay, I didn't hear my name.
Mary Ann Love, there's your name.
Yes, hi. First of all, I want to thank you, all you volunteer council members who give enormous amounts of time and effort to make Mccandless a very nice place to live. And Kim, I live in Ward 1, so I'm especially grateful to you. You hold down a demanding full-time job, and you take your volunteer council job very seriously and give up a lot to do so. So I thank you, and thanks to Angela too. You'll be missed, and you've always been very reasonable. Thank you so much. We'll miss you. Now, I've been a Mccandless resident for 52 years, and I'm a member of the Coalition for Safe Places. I'm here to communicate that I'm totally against the new gun range, Midwest Shooting Center, going into where Impact's shooting range was. I'm not against shooting ranges, but I am against the location, and that's the magic word here, of a gun range selling weapons whose location abuts an Orthodox church and is very close to a Catholic grade school, a college, and a large convent for women religious. Plus, it's close to residential housing. Plus, it's close to a continuum of care community. Plus, it's close to restaurants and a large outdoor community gathering space in Mccandless Crossing. This is not gun range territory. I'm going to repeat that. This is not gun range territory. Scroll the pictures on Midwest website and see the weapons they sell at their current locations. Looks to me like that includes assault weapons. That website is MidwestShootingCenter.com. I'll repeat that also, MidwestShootingCenter.com. Impacts got railroaded into Mccandless Crossing. Almost no one knew about it because there wasn't a public hearing or anything. That was wrong. And though most of the Mccandless reps here tonight weren't here for that, I'm feeling deja vu, like this new gun range is also getting railroaded in. The building was approved as an office building. As part of the railroading impacts, a shooting range was given a special use permit by the township. Impacts lasted fewer than 3 years before going bankrupt and auctioning off all its contents. After Impacts went bankrupt and moved out, the coalition was told by the township that special use permits are based on use, and that permit would expire if the use had been vacated for 12 months. Though a small portion was rented out to a gym for a couple of months after Impacts vacated, that building had ceased being used as a shooting range for 1 year on 3/16/21. We in the coalition were relieved after 3/16/21 because no new gun range had moved in. Yet, 5 months after that date, after a special use permit expired, the township issued a building permit to Midwest for interior renovations. Allowing another shooting range to move in, that raises a lot of questions. This is important with potential serious ramifications. And this resident is dismayed. Why would the township want to encourage weapon buyers to come to Mccandless, especially in such close proximity to many nonprofit institutions, residential areas, and community gathering spaces? I'm asking the town if they will please explain how and why these permits, both the use variance and the building, happened, with the fervent hope that they can be revoked. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Person would be Vince and Peggy. Okay. Vince and Peggy.
Hello, this is Vincent and
All right.
Mccandless. First, different than what I put in the chat. I'm a member of the Millville Sportsman's Association. That is a gun range in Marshall Township or in Butler. There are at least 5 gun ranges there. And the membership and the officers of that gun range have purchased land around the gun range to increase the buffer zone between the gun range, the shooting, and the noise, and nearby houses and other buildings. So they have sought to be a good neighbor. I believe that the gun range that Midwest wants to operate is more a retail space for selling guns, including assault weapons. And that is a catastrophic use of that property. And my comment in the chat is, if you want to increase the tax base at the expense of safety, allow a gun range to occupy space in Mccandless, you will accomplish your mission. Thank you. My wife has comments as well.
We need our Mccandless Town Council to have previously listened to the public outcry from the first attempt of putting a gun range so close to schools, churches, hospitals, home of the elderly nuns at Divine Providence Mother House. We don't want to hear sorry or disappointed from our elected council president. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else in the chat?
No one else signed up for chat.
Okay. All right, thank you. That closes public comment for this evening. Number 6 will be postponed until the September 27th meeting. We needed some more information on the presentation that was coming to us from the engineers. Reports of committees. Public Safety Committee. Councilmember Smith, you're gonna
Yeah.
open
Chief
that?
Chief Hawk is here, so his report's in our packet, but Chief, anything to add, point out?
Monthly report.
Anything at all? Whatever you feel like.
We all have the report for the month, so if you have any questions, I'm here. I would ask members of council to call their attention to that last paragraph. They'll go into great detail, except to say that 2 officers did a phenomenal job on a call in August. I might go as far as to say one of them did something heroic. It might have saved some lives, and I would like to point that out. They were a person in crisis and get them the help that they needed, but not before they had to take a concealed weapon off of this individual. Officer Mark did a phenomenal job with the assistance of Officer Evie. Both received letters of commendation for their acts. I just want to make sure you all were aware of that. Any other questions on the report up here?
I'd like to say that our entire force now has completed their de-escalation training.
Yes, ma'am.
That's quite an accomplishment. Thank you. I know that was a goal that we had set, and thank you for just pushing and getting that accomplished.
Yes, ma'am. That and implicit bias, I think, is also right on the cusp of having everyone trained.
Almost done.
Any questions? All right, thanks, Chief. Fire Marshal's report. In your packets, anything to add?
Nothing really to add to the fire marshal's report or the building inspector.
Okay. So which that is also in your packet. Personnel Board did not meet, I don't believe. Next meeting is September 22nd, if I remember right. Volunteer Firefighters Steering Committee also did not meet. I'm not sure when the next meeting is for that.
We have not scheduled.
Okay. And the police community engagement, the program starts, is it this Thursday?
Thursday evening, sir, 6 to 9.
6 to 9, and we have 17 folks doing it, right?
17 recruits, so we'll go for 8 weeks.
All right.
Do we have a list of who they are?
Do we have a list of who they are?
The police do, and they've checked their background, so we're all okay.
Yep. Sorry.
All right. Any other questions on any of those items? I will probably not be able to answer them, but I'll do my best. Nope. All right. That closes out that report.
I did want to add one little thing. The
Oh.
sergeant's promotion list has been put together, and that will be coming to council pretty soon for us to do the second round of interviews.
Oh, and I did see Joy got her drug training. The
Yes.
K9 got her certification.
Yes, continuous process. Some more tomorrow.
All right, thanks.
All right, facilities management, Councilmember Woods.
The Public Works Activity Report is included in your packets. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, Environmental Advisory Committee, Councilmember Sponholz.
The minutes are in council's packet. Does anyone have any questions?
It's really hard even for me to hear you. Your microphone may be a little closer.
Okay. I can talk louder. I'm sure. I'll repeat. The meeting minutes are in council's packet. And does anyone have any questions on any of the outstanding matters we're working on? All right.
Thank you. The Technology Committee minutes are in the packet. If there's any questions, I can answer those. And back to Councilmember Sponholz for the Stormwater Management Ad Hoc Committee.
Thank you. There will be a stormwater utility presentation upcoming in one of the next couple meetings. In addition, we're continuing to work on and discuss opportunities to upgrade our existing retention facilities to improve and mitigate storm damage like we saw recently during the aftermath of the hurricane. And Bob, is there any other key items that you want to bring forward?
We're working on design. Sorry, I will try to speak up a little bit more. We're working on designs.
Did I take?
It's okay. We're working on design for some, at least one retrofit of a stormwater pond in the North Meadows area. Looking at other locations that we can do the same thing. But, and we have met with the Army Corps of Engineers regarding a study of the Wexford Run and Pine Creek watersheds. So we're moving forward on both of those matters.
Thank you. Any questions? That completes my report.
Services Committee.
Councilmember Smith.
Yeah, so MTSA, nobody ever asks me, hands me the microphone. Apparently my voice is loud. MTSA minutes are in the packet. One thing I would point out, just because it's kind of interesting, MTSA is working with the Allegheny County Health Department, doing a wastewater sampling program to identify COVID in the wastewater, which apparently can identify an outbreak before it happens. The markers or whatever it is show up in wastewater approximately 7 days before symptoms are shown. And so they're working with the Allegheny County. Prior to that, in order to do this program, they would have had to send the samples to Florida. And the transit time by itself ate up all of the extra warning time that they got. So it wasn't worth doing it. But now they're partnering with the Allegheny County Health Department. It's a program run through the ACHD. So it'll be interesting to see if anything comes of that, if we learn anything new. But pretty neat little tidbit. And that's it for me.
Thank you. The Mccandless Franklin Park Ambulance Authority, while there is information in council's packets, it is somewhat dated. So I just wanted to point out a couple of things that have occurred in the last meeting, which we don't have minutes for yet. And that is that the Town of Mccandless and Franklin Park subscription drive started on September 1st, 2021. So obviously that is one of the ways that the Ambulance Authority supports themselves and keeps their ability to maintain high qualities of service levels in our communities. For anyone who is interested forever, the meetings have started at 5:30 p.m. On the third Tuesday of the month this year, and now they're starting at 6 p.m. And I wanted to congratulate them for receiving a $22,000 Hallmark grant. And the board is continuing their discussions on revamping board membership to include Pine, Marshall, and Bradford Woods. So there's more to come on that. And that's all I have. Any questions? Thank you. Councilmember Smith, the Public Library Authority.
Me again. The Public Library agenda and I think minutes are in your packet, as well as the Executive Director's report. Two things to point out. They are in the full swing of getting their 2022 budget together. And so that's ongoing, and it's probably a little bit more than halfway through that process, I'd imagine. And the second kind of big thing for them is they are working on the new entrance project because of the structural issues with the current patio. They have to do repair work, and they're redoing the entrance as a result of that with some other work. They're talking to design firms and getting plans. So those are the two big ones there. Any questions?
I did have a question. I noticed the children's YouTube channel that the library is doing, and I didn't know if possibly They might be interested in sharing some of our cable channel space. We're looking for programming. And that would be Councilmember Woods, and I see a little nod from you that that's the tech committee, right? The tech committee's kind of been running that, but that maybe we could see if we could partner with them a little bit. I was thinking when I read that about the children's YouTube channel, that you could have some of those.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Thank you very much. I will point it out to Amy Still.
That concludes the Services Committee report.
All right, moving on to old business. There is a, RJ is not here. Do you want to just give a little short ditty on this?
I think between Steve and I think we can fill in the gaps here. As the council is aware, we held a conditional use hearing at the last meeting for a proposed billboard to be located at the intersection of Perry Highway and Vestal Park Lane, which is in a C3 highway commercial district. We heard, I think at length, the details of that plan. And town attorney Steve Corbel has prepared a set of conditions for that, which you all have received copies of. And if it is the council's pleasure, we can move forward to take action on that. For the residents here, this is an extremely small piece of property, about 1,000 square feet. It sits right outside the driveway of Vestal Park. So there's very few uses that could occur for this piece of property. And this, I believe, you know, they presented what their intent would be at the last meeting. And this wasn't electronic, right, Steve? This is just
Just lit.
a stationary
Correct.
lit sign. Okay. So, you know, this isn't a flashing sign. It's not changeable. It would just be static. That was the word I was looking for. So, Steve, anything that we need to go over in terms of the conditions?
The conditions were all discussed at the hearing. They were all raised by members of council or the applicant themselves, from reimbursing the town for its fees to the Vestal Park signage requirement, landscaping requirements, doing a post-development study about the lighting. They also agreed to shield the lights that would shine onto the static display. And so we've captured that here in the conditions. So if council would approve this evening, RJ will generate an approval letter, and these conditions will be placed in that letter to the applicant.
Anything else? I think we have a pretty good understanding of this. Is floor is open for motions?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember Woods.
I move to approve the conditional use application filed by Pittsburgh Outdoor Properties LLC, requesting approval for a billboard on property located at the intersection of Perry Highway and Vestal Park Lane in the town's C3 Highway Commercial District, currently designated as Allegheny County Block Lot number 944-A-226, pursuant to sections 1341.12 and 1313.11 of the codified ordinances of the town of Mccandless, and in accordance with the application materials, plans, and testimony accepted into the hearing to the hearing record by town council and subject to the conditions set forth in the town attorney's memorandum dated September 10th, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Clinton. Are there any comments or questions from council? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving this motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business. The first proposed motion is to release the performance bond for the small format hospital on Duncan. They have met all the specifications in the closeout letter. Did I miss anything?
Nope.
Okay. Once they do everything we ask them to do, then we give them their bond back. So our engineers have said they have, and so they're asking for their money. The floor is open. Are there any questions about that? Oh, Councilmember Schwaffels.
Thank you, Madam President. Actually, I do have questions because one, the engineer's closeout letter says that, which I just don't know if there are any, that, and I bring this up because this is the final bond release. There's no more money left after this. It implied that the town may be monitoring some issues, and our engineers didn't. That was kind of like a caveat. So I don't know if it says we recommend release if all other items that the town may be monitoring have been addressed. So that's a
And we
question.
confirmed that this morning with the engineers.
All right.
Everyone is satisfied
Thank
with the
you.
review.
And the other question I had, and I think this came in RJ's memo, is which were the contingencies, and it did not confirm that the PCSM operation and maintenance plan agreement was completely completed and signed, executed.
That has been done.
Has been done. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess I need some advice from my fellow council members. I do work with Allegheny Health Network, although we are not releasing the bond from them. It's Trammell Crow. Does anyone see a conflict of interest? That's how I vote.
I don't.
I don't.
Wait,
You're
you're
muted.
Steve, you're muted.
Someone needs to send him a
mute.
request. Unmute.
Yeah, we're doing that.
Thank you. To be honest with you, Mike, on a vote like this, I don't think it's worth even worrying about this. So meaning, if I were you, I would simply abstain so as not to raise any issues.
Your vote.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none. The floor is open for motion.
Madam President.
Councilmember Swanholz had her hand up first, I think. I'm sorry.
I move to approve the release of the performance bond for the small format hospital project on Duncan Avenue in the amount of $3,478,845 as recommended by the town engineer in their letter dated August 25th, 2021. The developer has satisfied all conditions of the project closeout letter dated August 20, 2021.
Second.
Okay. There's then a motion and a second. A time for additional questions. Let's do roll call vote.
Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Abstain.
Ward 4,
Aye.
Ward 5,
Aye.
Ward 6,
Aye.
Ward 7,
Aye.
Ward 1.
Abstain.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to B. This is to accept the unfortunate resignation of Councilmember Angela Woods. The floor is open for motion.
Meant for giggles.
Okay, Councilmember Swanholz.
I must say that I will make this motion with great regret to accept the resignation of Councilmember Angela Woods.
Is there a
Second,
second?
regretfully as well.
Any other comments from council or questions? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed?
I'm abstaining from that, Madam President.
Okay. The next is a motion to also accept the resignation from Dan Stack as our emergency management coordinator. The floor is open for motion.
Oh,
Okay, Councilmember Clunin,
move to accept the resignation of Dan Stack as the emergency management coordinator.
second.
Second.
Second, questions or comments, also a loss for our town for the 27 years of service from our Fire Marshal Dan Stack. All right, all those in favor of accepting the resignation, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resignation is accepted. We also have our last item is for appointment to the EAC. Is there an appointment from the nominating committee of the EAC?
Yes, based on that recommendation, I move to appoint Dawn Miller to the Environmental Advisory Committee for a term to expire August 31, 2024.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, the nominations are closed. All those in favor of appointing Dawn Miller to the EAC indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Dawn. Is there any other new business? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for attending.